My name is Jasmine Brunson, and this is From the Heart, a Hoopers podcast. Thank you for tuning into this episode of From the Heart, a Hoopers podcast. If you haven't already seen episode 5 and 6, y'all can either go back now and watch that, or you can watch this episode and then go back and watch those 2 episodes. In episode 6, we had the very controversial "A Coach Stole My Joy" conversation. In this episode, we're going to be talking about what they didn't tell me about overseas. Full disclaimer, I did go overseas in 2021, like fresh off of the world being shut down. So there was still a bunch of COVID protocols and different things that was in play at the time. So I'm sure that affected my experience overseas. However, we're gonna dive into it today. Either way, we're gonna dive into it today. So if you haven't already subscribed to the official YouTube channel, please go do me that favor. And now YouTube has a new hype button. So if y'all could just scroll over a little bit more and then press that hype button after you're done subscribing to the channel, thank you for doing that in advance. Also, make sure you are following the official Instagram page at From the Heart of Hoopers Podcast, as well as tapped in with me on all podcast platforms. On all podcast platforms. Now that we got business handled, let's get into it. As I mentioned, I went overseas in 2021, and I used to make this joke all the time that I genuinely felt like Monica from Love and Basketball. Again, full disclosure, Love and Basketball has always been my favorite movie. Even though I realize now as I've gotten older, like, let's just be honest, Quincy played in that girl's face. Played in our girl Monica's face, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, I played professionally in Kosovo. Prior to signing this contract and going to Kosovo, I had no idea what this place was, never heard of it. I was completely ignorant to anything Kosovo, completely. But I'm on my second agent at the time, like I said, fresh off of the world being shut down because of COVID. So I'm on my second agent at the time, and then he came to me with an offer from Kosovo, and I just honestly, I went on faith, I relied on faith, and I just took it. Keep in mind, one thing I've learned firsthand about going overseas is that the experience, or just everything that goes into going overseas, is different. Women's basketball player, or women versus men. Most female players, especially prior to the day and time that we live in now in 2025, either had to go overseas to make ends meet, or that was just a way of extending their playing careers, because you're always told how slim the chances are of actually making it to the league. So most people, they opt on going overseas because there's more opportunities overseas. It's no secret that prior to now, like, that's why it's so special that the league is expanding right now, and like they have the Golden State Valkyries, and then they have another expansion team. So it's like, it's providing more opportunities for more players to get a chance in the actual league, because before it was a matter of not enough roster spots, not enough teams, not enough space, it's not enough opportunities. So going overseas was pretty much like the next best thing, aside from if you was already in the league and you wasn't on one of the max contracts and you wasn't making the most amount of money. We all know the money discrepancy when it comes to women's basketball versus male basketball, but that's a whole nother episode. But if you wasn't making the absolute most money, even if you was at a certain point in time, you still was going overseas for that other part of the year to make it ends meet. It was never a matter of women haven't been talented enough or whatever the case was. It was, the talent was always there, the opportunity wasn't always there. So I took what seemed to be the most fitting opportunity for me at that point in time, and then I went. After a full day of traveling, immediately when I got there, I just knew I was not in the States anymore. And I mean that in a good way and in a bad way. Like, it was just completely different scenery. Everything was different. You just immediately know you're in a completely different culture. Literally everything was different. Literally everything was different. I'm gonna insert some pictures of around that time when I first got to Kosovo. Somewhere over here is going to be put on here. So if you're watching the episode on YouTube, you're going to be able to see those. If not, you can always go to my Instagram. I'll be putting the pictures on my Instagram as well at From the Heart of Hoopers Podcast. One of the main differences though was language. Now you might be thinking, obviously, yes, I knew there was going to be a language barrier. I know when you typically go anywhere out of the country, depending on where you go, it's going to be a language barrier. It's no secret when you travel. I've been fortunate enough to travel many different places. I'm aware of that. However, I had no idea what was going on. Like, I had no idea at all what was going on. And when you're on contract to play a sport where communication is key, right? Communication is pivotal. That could pose a little bit of a problem, right? When it comes to language, not understanding anything that's happening. And like I said, obviously, I knew wherever I ended up playing career-wise, knowing that I was taking the overseas route, again, language was going to be something that could potentially be a barrier, like I said. However, I can literally count probably on one hand how many people from over there actually either spoke or understood English. It's one thing to not speak English. It is another thing to not understand English. But luckily, I did have a teammate. She was pro long enough to be able to speak English to me. So that was essentially, we're gonna reference Love and Basketball again. That teammate was essentially the girl, and y'all remember the locker room scene? Where the coach was giving that big speech and he was enthusiastic, but Monica ain't know nothing that was going on, and then the teammate came to her after the coach was done speaking and then translated it to her. That was what she was for me. And personally, looking back, I'm like, okay, I could have tried to learn the language, but like, it was gonna take a lot longer than I was there for me to learn Albanian or Serbian. It wasn't, that's a whole different thing. They tried to give me Latin in school one time and I said, absolutely not. So anyway, shout out to that teammate, because you did your thing. However, me not being able to effectively communicate with my teammates and my coaches for that matter, or just anybody else, whether it be on staff or whatever, not being able to effectively communicate with them at all times, did create a challenge when it came to certain things still. Even having somebody that can translate for me, even having somebody that spoke enough English, or having teammates that spoke, pieces of English here and there, was able to understand, things here and there, it did still pose a little bit of a challenge. When it came to actual basketball though, it's just, I truly just believe like basketball is very simple when you break it down. Offense is about being able to put the ball in the basket. Defense is about being able to stop the team from doing the same thing. Like, yes, it's when you get into the intricacies of things, yeah, we can sit here and break everything down about offense and everything down about defense. But in a nutshell, offense, you got to put the ball in the basket, you got to score. Defense, stop the other team from doing it. Person with the most points at the end of the game, or team with the most points at the end of the game, wins. Needless to say, we managed when it came to the actual basketball piece. Yes, again, it did create some challenges, but we managed when it came to basketball. However, when it came down to what to eat, where to go, certain things to do, which brings me to my second rude awakening about when I went overseas and what they did not tell me. So aside from language, now I'm starting to understand that when you go overseas, a lot of the time, or at least I cannot speak on anybody else's experience, but what I've experienced is that you generally are on your own, especially as an American. Now, I cannot speak for how it is right now. And again, like I just said, I cannot speak on anybody else's experience. However, as an American, if you don't find your group of Americans, at least for me, you're on your own. Like, it's GG's, you're on your own. Like, especially as an American, you're like little fish, big pond. And that's what it feels like. And for me, like I said, I didn't understand the language, and they were heavy in their language. It wasn't, you know how typically you could go some places and then you have, some people that will try and speak English, but when you generally have people that don't know how to speak English and don't understand you, like, at all, that's tough. And it wasn't anything intentional in terms of, oh, let's make her feel uncomfortable, or it wasn't anything that was done that my teammates did that made me feel uncomfortable, or my coaches did to make me feel uncomfortable, or anything like that to try and, single me out, or to try and, make me feel like an outcast. It's just naturally, that's how I felt. So when I found out that there was like other Americans out there too that was hooping under contract and everything, it just provided a sense of comfort, honestly and truly, because I'm like, okay, I went from feeling like, whoa, what is this? Like, what is happening? Everything was happening so fast. And then, okay, now it's other people that I can identify with and resonate with also out here with me. So that did provide a sense of comfort for me. And then when you have an agent, you also can express to them like different concerns that you have, different things that you might need. So that kind of helps with the, language barrier. That kind of helps with you not necessarily being on your own, because you can communicate about certain things that you might need. And then, you could put that on your agents to make sure that they get it for you. Realistically, it was on me to figure out how to get around, where to go, what was good to eat, pretty much everything. Like, pretty much everything. And again, this could be something that it could have been a lot more structured pre-COVID, because a lot of different things changed, especially when it came to basketball structure. Y'all remember at a point in time, everybody was playing in gyms with no crowd. It was just silent library in there. So I do understand things changed, and like this could have possibly been different pre-COVID. Post-COVID, it was on me to figure out all of that stuff. And then when you're in a place that's prone to blackouts, and then pretty much the whole time I was out there, I had no phones. Like, my phone service was so bad. And it wasn't like I didn't call my carrier and do all of that. Oh yeah, I'm going out the country. I did all of that. My phone service was god awful. Not to mention it's a time difference. So all my people in the States, obviously, I believe I was like 8 hours. It was like an 8-hour time difference, if I remember. I gotta fact check that. I'm gonna fix that if I need to. So when you're in a place, basically no service, prone to blackouts, and you're by yourself, let me tell you something. I don't like scary movies. I'll leave that there. I'm just saying, you try being somewhere completely foreign to you, no service, and everything dark. Nasty work. That's nasty. I'm in my room damn near banging my head against the wall. Like, when you have team stuff going on, obviously, yeah, you good. But the team stuff also is not as, depending again on where you go, team stuff is not as frequent as you might be used to. Like, it's nowhere near as frequent as college. Like, I feel like in college, you're doing team stuff all the time. If it's not something for donors, or you're volunteering, or you're with kids, a camp, like something like that, it's doing something team related all the time, team bonding activities. Overseas, it's not that many meetings between your teams, like, or at least, like I said, for me, it wasn't that frequent. Like, we wasn't obligated to sit there and spend that much time with each other. So aside from that, it's on you to figure it out, obviously, because now that's your career. It wasn't much to explore out there either. There was another city that you could go into that I later found out that, had motion or whatever the case was. But prior to that, it wasn't much exploring that you could do, honestly. While I was there, I also did learn about the poverty that was in that country, and learning about just typically the money that they made, different resources that wasn't available to them. And you realize that, I think, put things in perspective more than anything for me, because things that typically in the States that we just indulge in, or things that are resources for us, we don't necessarily always see as a luxury. But there's a lot of things that they needed over there that would have been luxuries for them that we see as just everyday things here in the States. And that put a lot of different things in perspective for me. It really opened my eyes to just, obviously, I could sit there and read about, and like I said, I've traveled. I've been fortunate enough to travel a couple different places and a couple different countries. So I've seen, different things, and I've seen like the differences of different countries between, where I am versus the States. However, that was a place that I went to, and I'm just like, yeah, like this is completely different. It definitely puts things in perspective and opened my eyes up to just really and truly how different things are. But nevertheless, there's a whole lot of downtime overseas, so choose wisely where you go. The last thing that I would say that nobody told me about overseas or going overseas, playing overseas, any of that, is that you're playing one game a week most of the time. You're playing one game a week, like the NFL. That was new for me. Like, that was new, because I always looked at the NFL, or looked at, even when I was in college, like I looked at football players, and I seen how much time and work and everything that they put in just to play one game. And I'm just like, I could never. I'm glad we played like 2-3 games in a week. Or shoot, even take me back to AAU where you playing 4 games in a day. Like, take me back to that. But 1 game a week, I didn't know. I really did not know. I don't know what I thought. Honestly and truly, I really don't know what I thought. But I didn't think that. And for me, it was 1 game a week, and we had practice pretty much, I want to say like once or twice a week. And that was also due in part to availability out there. Like, there wasn't availability to get extra work in. There wasn't availability to get up extra shots, get extra gym time. And that was attributed to the lack of resources they had out there, and just, there wasn't a lot of gyms, there wasn't a lot of weight rooms, there wasn't a lot of any of that. I didn't touch a weight room the whole time I was there. 1 game a week, pretty much 2 practices max, no extra work time, no extra gym time. I was struggling. Like, I was down bad. I was down real bad because I genuinely did not know what to do. And then again, I never knew when it was going to be a blackout. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have any phone service, like I said, most of the time. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then on top of that, I love being in the gym. I love putting in extra work. I love getting up extra shots. I love being in the weight room. Doing anything basketball related. Love it. Favorite pastime. I don't even have access to that. Like, I can't even do that. Like, I was struggling. You pretty much working what you got, and that's what they had, so that's what I had to work with. Simple. Not gonna complain about it. That was just the situation. That was just the circumstances. Ultimately, playing overseas did open my eyes to a few different things and made me realize the importance of, 1, having the right team behind you. Because I will say that it was a lot to try and get an agent or get the right team, especially post-COVID. And obviously nobody could plan for that. We couldn't have planned for that. Nobody knew that was really gonna happen. It was hard to build the right team. It was hard to have the right people working on my behalf. And a lot of places, a lot of countries wasn't taking chances. There was a point in time where either if you was traveling out the country or you was already out the country playing, you had to stay there. You could not come back to the States. And this was during COVID. Or it was like countries was not opening up. Like, they was not opening up to Americans. It was like, no, like, it was none of that. All of that stuff was on hold. But 1, having the right people working on your behalf. And 2, how much you really have to love that lifestyle. And I had a conversation with somebody before, and they was like, they realized that playing overseas, like, that is a lifestyle. And I could not agree more, because it's a big commitment. Like, it literally becomes your life. You have to then get completely adjusted and acclimated to being in a completely different place for half the year, a completely different culture, a completely different way of life. Obviously, yes, you do go places that are similar to the States. However, again, like in my case, and at that point, the point in time that I'm talking about, it was a lack of opportunities. So you go where, 1 is you're going to be a fit, and what just seems to be the best opportunity and the best fit for you. The actual basketball piece of it is not the hard part. At least for me, it wasn't the hard part. Basketball is always going to be basketball at the end of the day. Everything else, being adjusted and acclimated to a different way of life, and then understanding that sometimes you will go to small market teams or small market places, and you're playing that 1 game a week, or you could end up in a situation like I was in where you're not in the best place to be at. And not for nothing, having blackouts places and not having no service is a safety concern. I'm in a whole different country. Yes, some of these things could have been avoided. Some of these things could have been and should have been figured out prior to me actually going out there. However, the competitor in me was going to go wherever I was going to get the opportunity to play anyway. I wanted to hoop. When it's all said and done, the experience as a whole definitely opened my eyes more than I could have imagined. And there were some things that I for sure was completely ignorant to prior to getting that opportunity to go overseas. However, it opened my eyes up so much, and I am so appreciative and so just, thankful that I was able to even do that, because there is a complete flip side to that where when you go to certain places, they treat you like a celebrity. Like, they completely treat you like a celebrity in terms of like people coming up to you and people genuinely being in awe that you're talented and how you play the game of basketball, like that is a whole different side of things. I will say, and I can now say, the things that I did not know and some of the things that did occur while I was overseas did kind of overshadow that side of things and that part of things for me. However, like I said, I'm beyond thankful that I got that experience, because again, not everybody, especially coming from where I come from, not necessarily seeing examples of people in places that I wanted to be in, especially when it came to basketball. That's something that, again, nobody could ever take away from me, and I learned so much from it. But it had its challenges. And I still even encourage younger athletes now, like if you get the opportunity to go overseas, if it works out and everything aligns and things check your boxes, go do it, experience it. I don't talk anybody out of going overseas, regardless of anything that I dealt with, anything that created a challenge for me going overseas. Everybody's experience is not going to be the same one. Like, you have a bunch of great experiences for people playing overseas, especially for women playing overseas. You have great experiences. You also have the other side of things, and you also have experiences that were more challenging than others. Take the opportunity, take the chance. Yeah, if I could say anything, honestly and truly, take the chance, because I don't regret that I took the chance, honestly. For all of the challenges that it created, all of the different things that I had to go through, some that I didn't even mention. But just take the chance. As always, thank you for tuning in to this episode of From the Heart of Hoopers podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to the official YouTube channel at From the Heart of Hoopers podcast, as well as following the official Instagram page at From the Heart of Hoopers podcast as well. Make sure you are also tapped in with me on all podcast platforms. I'm on everything, so if you don't watch the episodes, you can listen to the episodes on whatever you decide you want to listen to it on, because I'm on. Also, make sure you are sharing these episodes with somebody else in the hooping community, and like the video if any part of it or any part of my story resonates with your own. And with that said, I will see y'all next week.